Now, the head coach Joel Dolinski Show. Here's Dan Flickinger and the head coach of the Seton Hill Griffins, Joel Dolinski.
Welcome back to the Westmoreland Sports Network pregame show, getting you ready for Seton Hill and Shepherd, and now the head coach of the Seton Hill Griffins, Joel Dolinski. Coach, you go back to last week, heartbreaking loss to Assumption. That's the negative part of it. The positive part looked like there was a lot of improvement from week 1 to week 2.
Well, heartbreaking, disappointing, certainly last week. Assumption's a solid football team, well coached. We did make some improvements and played better. We're not nearly where we need to be yet, though. We need to keep making improvements, keep making strides. We played well at times, but we didn't play a whole 60 minutes well.
Coach, let's talk about the defense. You guys were able to force 4 turnovers. Unfortunately, though, you weren't really able to fully capitalize on it.
Well, the defense played very well. The first half, they were really inside the 50 the entire half, and for them guys to, bow up and only give up 1 score was a fantastic job by that unit and Coach Stewart and the defensive staff and defensive players. Turnovers, we were unable to capitalize, and I know a couple of them put us backed up in field position, and we just had trouble working, and we were backed up and maybe a little too conservative trying to get a first down and didn't punt the ball very well to get us out of the hole.
Coach, the first 2 games of the season, you have 25 penalties. Are these silly mental mistakes, or is it more of a case of a combination with the new offensive line, the younger guys, and maybe a lot of holding penalties up front?
I think it's a little bit of combination of both. You tend to get a little bit lazy at times with your technique, so you want to reach out and grab guys. Being a young group and being a little bit worried about guys being a little bit bigger, stronger, and faster than you, another reaction is to go ahead and reach out and grab them. And they've been pretty costly. We've been working hard to get that rectified, and penalties have been killing us. And a couple bad time penalties really put the end to some drives and take away some big plays the last 2 weeks. So we need to get that fixed and keep working our technique and fundamentals and get better at that.
And one of those plays was a touchdown return off of a blocked kick by Nico Hall-Brown. Let's ignore the negative for a second and talk about the positive of that play. Can you take me through a little bit, what happened, who blocked the kick? I didn't catch that, and Nico Hall-Brown with the return. Unfortunately, it was called back, but that would have been a positive play for you.
Well, I just drew a blank. I'm thinking Jonathan Fagan's the one who got his hand on the kick, and it was a good block, good effort, and the ball is a live ball, and we try to coach those kids up to understand that a blocked kick, even though it goes past the line of scrimmage, just like a punt, and Nico being a fantastic football player, he's one of the smartest football players we got on the team as far as football smarts and football sense. He understands the game very well, and making that move from receiver to defensive back and playing well, he's the kind of kid that can make those moves because of his football knowledge. He picked it up in a fantastic effort by that young man to take it, and it was a big momentum swing. And when we talk about a little bit of a roller coaster ride, you're so excited. A big play like that can really take the wind out of their sails and really give us a boost and put some points on the scoreboard. And sure enough, we get a block in the back penalty that put us inside the 10 from 6 points on the scoreboard to first and 10 on the -9, 8 or 9 yard line.
Coach, talk about the guys up front, if we can go back to the offensive line real quick. I know that this might be a weekly topic just to see how they've been improving. You saw some good flashes in the running game, Dan Butler especially on the one drive with 2 big runs and a touchdown, and then you obviously see some negative things as well. Can you evaluate their play from last week?
They're steadily getting better and progressing. It's tough, again, for those young, true freshmen playing high school ball a year ago, and now they're, responsible of blocking and helping our offense go. It's been a difficult transition, but they're getting better slowly but surely. Nowhere near where they need to be, but I think, the future's bright. They're going to continue to get better and progress and learn the offense, and I think, they're going to be a stellar group of young men for next couple years to come.
Talk a little bit about the offense. In the offseason, obviously, you decide to go to a no-huddle type offense. You get up to the line quickly. Talk about what went into that thinking in the offseason and how you've been executing it so far.
What our thought process was, knowing we're going to be a young group up front. We have 3 guys that are playing their first college games up in the front 5 for the offensive line, and we thought it might give us a little bit of advantage to get us hoping we're going to be in better condition than the guys we're playing against, and just to hurry up and get things running before the opponents are ready to play ball, and to kind of go at them fast, to grind them down, especially when we're going to be outsized a lot up front, try to wear down those big guys and get them tired out towards the end of the game, keep them running and going fast. The other thought process is shots on goal. You want to keep shooting, because we do have some skill set with our offense, with the receivers and the running backs and Lenahan and the tight ends, that if you keep shooting up at the basket, eventually they're going to go in. So we kind of preach, hey, go fast, get a bunch of plays in, and one of them will break for a big play. And that was kind of the thought process to kind of help address maybe a little bit of a disadvantage with the young kids up front.
Speaking of those receivers, you talk about Anthony Armstead goes up and gets a ball for a touchdown. George Valdivinos with 14 catches. Talk about those guys, and especially George, just really being the leader of that group.
George is a veteran guy. He's been around the game for quite a while, and he works hard, and he's probably one of our best offensive players, and makes plays, and a sure-handed young man. Another pretty smart football guy, knows the game pretty well. So he's kind of taking that as the lone senior in that group. He's taking that leadership role and trying to corral the troops over there. Armstead, it was nice to see him make a play. I mean, those kids are very capable of doing that every time the ball's up in the air, and it was nice to see him step up and make a big play in the end zone like that.
Coach, let's go to the defensive side of the football. I wanted to ask you about Arthur Sapdong. He really is playing pretty well, and he had a couple of sacks against Assumption. Talk about how well he's playing. I know you were he's one of the guys you're really high on coming up in this recruiting class.
Well, yeah, Big Sap, we're excited about him. When we're recruiting him, I think physically he was a mature young man, very strong, nice size, plays with a great motor. Again, still learning the defense a little bit. We got to keep the mental busts, keep him from busting mentally on some of his assignments. But he's just a good, hard-nosed kid. He plays with a high motor. He again, physically mature for a freshman. He's a pretty strong kid and can fight off those offensive linemen. And he's going to have a great career here. I mean, he's going to be a guy that's going to create a lot of havoc in the offensive backfields for the next couple of years.
Coach, let's look ahead here to Shepherd, your opponent today. Obviously, the preseason choice for first in the conference, won the conference last year. Obviously, you're going to have your hands full with a kid in Tommy Addison. It's a very talented running back. How do you slow them down defensively, and what do you have to do offensively to come away with a win this afternoon?
Well, I'll tell you what, Shepherd preseason picked to win the conference, and rightly so. That's a great program, and Coach Cater, Monty, he does a great job. He's done it for a lot of years. Just runs this very solid program, has a great group of guys. How do we stop them? And Addison is definitely a great threat, but it starts up front for those guys. They're big and they're well coached over there by Ernie McCook. He coaches the big guys and he calls the offense. And it starts up there. They have the big. I think they have 3 seniors on their offensive line, so that kind of makes life probably a little bit easier. And the problem, that you're faced with Addison is he gets a crease, he'll wiggle, and he'll get gone pretty quick. So, I feel pretty confident. We have a very solid game plan. I'm confident my defensive staff and Coach Stewart has an initial plan to stop Addison and stop their offense. But, it's going to come down to kids and matchups. And, you're always worried when you got 3 senior offensive linemen that are bigger than you that they could create some problems. Offensively, we just need to settle down and we need to play good, sound, fundamental football, especially up front, and trust our techniques and not get overextended at times, and take care of the ball, make good decisions with the ball, and control the game.
Coach, thanks a lot for your time. Appreciate it, and good luck this afternoon against Shepherd.
I'll take it.
We'll be back on the Westmoreland Sports Network pregame show in just a moment.